I was dead for 8 minutes and 37 seconds. But the most shocking part wasn't death itself. It was what God said to me afterward. It wasn't about heaven. It wasn't about sin. It was about my phone. The phone was in my hand at the final moment of my life. God wasn't angry. He didn't condemn me. He didn't call me a sinner or say I was unworthy. He just asked one simple question that made my soul tremble. Why have you allowed this to control your spirit? I didn't know how to answer. I never thought the phone was the problem. I believed it was just a tool to stay connected, to avoid being left out, to feel seen. But in that moment, in a silence more terrifying than any scream, I realized I had never truly lived. I had posted pictures with perfectly filtered smiles while feeling empty inside. I had received hundreds of likes, but cried alone in a dark bedroom. I believed that if no one saw me online, I would disappear from the world altogether. And then I did disappear, not from social media, but from life itself. The last thing I saw was a notification lighting up my screen. A friend had sent me a message, but I would never respond. Because just seconds later, I drifted out of my lane, crashed head-on, and everything went dark. I didn't feel pain, only cold and silence. A strange kind of silence, with no sound, no thoughts, not even a sense of myself. But in that very moment, when I thought it was all over, a light appeared, and a voice called my name. Not with words, not out loud, but through a presence so powerful every part of me came alive again. What was waiting for me beyond the boundary of life? And why was God's first message about social media? The next part will reveal a disturbing truth about the world you hold in your hands every single day. My name is Madison Grace. I'm 20 years old, a communications major, and the kind of person you'd probably call doing just fine on social media. Fine in looks, fine in likes, fine in a life packaged neatly into 15-second stories and long captions that read like half-hearted confessions. But do you want to know what truly terrified me? It wasn't being hated. It wasn't being judged. It wasn't even failure. It was the fear that I didn't exist unless someone was watching me through a screen. I used to check my phone just to see if anyone still remembered me. I deleted posts that didn't get enough likes within the first hour. I edited my photos to death just to look like someone I wasn't. I wasn't living authentically. I was living as a version of myself optimized for other people's approval. And every day I swiped through that screen, I was slipping further away from who I was. I laughed when others were sad. I felt sad when others were happy. I lived inside comparison, competition, and the cold, glowing blue light of a world that never truly touched me. I couldn't fall asleep without the sound of notifications. I couldn't look someone in the eye for more than 3 seconds, but I could tap a heart on their posts 100 times a week. I didn't call my mom, but I made sure the whole internet knew what I ate, drank, and wore that day. The truth is, I didn't know who I was anymore without a phone in my hand. I thought that was normal because everyone seemed to be doing the same. But I was wrong. I was completely wrong. Because there's another world growing quietly behind those screens. And in the next part, I'll show you what God revealed to me about that darkness, the one swallowing the souls of a generation we all assume is doing just fine. I don't remember the impact. I don't remember the sound of screeching brakes or my body lifting and hitting the pavement. It all happened in less than 3 seconds, but inside me was a silence that stretched out like centuries. I didn't hear anyone calling. I didn't see flashing lights. I didn't feel pain or trembling. There was only darkness, a thick, endless void with no color, no shape, no sense of self. I didn't know who I was. I didn't remember who I used to be. I had no name, no age, no memory of why I ever existed. But strangely, I wasn't afraid. I felt familiar, like I had been here before, long ago. A false kind of peace. A stillness that made you believe it might be okay to stay here forever. And just as I let myself surrender fully to that darkness, the light appeared. Not a blinding flash, not some dazzling movie moment, but a gentle thread of warmth, like a golden strand weaving through the night, unhurried but certain. The light didn't shine on me, it moved through me. And for the first time since I had died, I felt seen. Not by the world, not by social media, not by my followers, but by a sacred presence, vast, encompassing, and tender. The light didn't ask me if I was afraid. It already knew how deeply I had lived in fear. It didn't demand that I explain why I had lived the way I did. It was simply understood that I had never been taught how to live at all. I didn't hear a voice through my ears, but through something deeper in my soul. A message arrived without words, without sound, only feeling. You are still loved, even when you've forgotten how to love yourself. And just as I felt myself beginning to melt into that light, I sensed I was being taken somewhere, not by walking, but through a weightless kind of movement. I didn't know where I was going, but one thing became clear. I was about to be shown something I had never dared look at directly, the truth about the very world I had depended on to feel like I mattered. I didn't walk, yet I was being led. And in that place where time no longer held meaning, I was shown things no one had ever told me before. I saw myself, not my physical self, but my soul, a dim, fragile being of light, fractured and veiled beneath layers of dark, wispy smoke. Each layer was a moment of envy when I saw someone more beautiful, a moment of comparison between my life and that of a celebrity. For a moment, I scrolled too quickly to avoid meeting the eyes of a loved one across the dinner table. What I once thought were harmless whispers from social media had become steady winds, slowly extinguishing the light inside me. God appeared not in any image I had imagined. There was no throne, no thunder, no dazzling crown of light. He was simply the purest presence of love and truth, a love that didn't judge, didn't demand, didn't burden me with shame. A love that looked straight into my deepest wounds and still whispered, "I am here." He didn't scold me for living through a screen, for being addicted to the noise, or for losing touch with my soul. He simply showed me the consequence of all of it. He took me to a place that felt like an enormous classroom, where millions of young souls like mine sat staring into screens. Their eyes were fixed, but their spirits dimmed with every passing second. I saw shadows clinging to them, growing with each unresolved emotion. They didn't know they were feeding those shadows with every unconscious scroll, every comparison-laced tap of a like, every silence after a cruel comment. I saw emotional entities drifting through digital space, feeding on human spiritual energy. And every time someone felt they weren't enough because of what they saw online, a piece of their inner light was pulled away. And then I heard the words, "Technology is not evil, but disconnection is killing your souls." I wanted to cry, but I had no tears left. All I had was awareness and the overwhelming realization that I had let my light fade little by little. I thought I was living, but I was performing just to be noticed. I thought I was connecting, but I was only running from a deeper loneliness. God said, "You have lived in a raging sea, thinking you were being nourished by the waves. You mistook applause for love. You mistook attention for presence." I stood in that space as image after image poured in, like a river of souls. I saw a little girl, maybe 12 years old, with dark circles under her eyes from staying up all night watching videos, just to feel like she belonged somewhere. I saw a 14-year-old boy curled up in the corner of his room because no one liked the first post where he dared to share his sadness. I saw mothers and fathers, couples, groups of friends, all sitting beside each other, but each one lost in their glowing world of screens. No one truly saw anyone. No one was there. God showed me myself when I was still alive at a birthday party, laughing, posing for selfies, and editing pictures. But from the outside, I could see how dim my light had become, nearly gone. The light of a soul does not reflect through a screen. It grows in silence, in real connection, in simple, unseen moments. Then he said to me, "Life does not exist in what is seen. It exists in what is truly present. If you are fully present, even if no one sees you, you are alive." And in that moment, I understood. A genuine gaze is more powerful than 1,000 views. A silent prayer carries more weight than any viral post. I hadn't lost myself because I was broken or weak. I had lost myself because I had quietly stepped away from my own heart, piece by piece, as I handed it over to the digital world. Then God reached out not to pull me back, but to ask, "Do you want to return? To tell them what you've seen? To reignite the light in those who think they are alive, but are quietly fading?" I didn't think. I just bowed my head and whispered, "Yes, if you allow me." I opened my eyes to the sound of machines beeping and the blinding glare of surgical lights. The first thing I felt wasn't pain, it was tears. Not from my eyes, but from somewhere deeper, as if a stream had risen from my soul. I didn't know where I was, but I knew without a doubt that I had returned. Not to live the way I used to, but to live truly, for the very first time. In the first week after I woke up, I didn't touch my phone. Not because the doctors told me not to, but because I no longer needed it to feel like I existed. I began to observe the world with real eyes. I saw my mother's face, lined and weary, no filters, sitting beside me for 10 hours straight in the emergency room. I saw my father's red eyes, holding back tears he didn't want me to see. I saw nurses I didn't know by name gently adjusting my blanket every time I trembled. I realized that every real connection is quiet, unseen, and never posted online. But it was those very things that tethered me back to life. I didn't delete social media out of fear. I didn't turn my back on technology like some extremists. I simply reordered the priorities: soul first, Wi-Fi second. I started over from the smallest things, like I was learning to live all over again, like a child taking their first steps. I learned how to sit in silence without background noise. I learned how to eat a meal without photographing it. I learned how to ask someone, "Are you okay?" and truly listen to the answer. I wrote down the names of people who had messaged me, the ones I never replied to because I was too busy posting something new. One by one, I reached out and wrote, "I'm sorry I wasn't truly present with you." Some didn't reply. Some cried. Some sent back a simple emoji. But I understood. Real connection begins with honest acknowledgement. I went back to church, not because I had suddenly become devout, but because I needed a space with no Wi-Fi signal, but full of signals from within. I sat in the last pew, surrounded by strangers who felt closer to me than anyone in my online friends list. I didn't pray for anything grand. I just whispered one thing: "Thank you for letting me still be alive." I started writing about my experience, not to go viral, but because I couldn't stay silent once I realized what was quietly killing my generation without leaving a drop of blood. I called the campaign "Look Up." Look up, from the screen, from comparison, from that sinking feeling of not being enough, from the trap of things that only appear perfect. I began blogging, telling real stories in my raw voice. No fancy language, no SEO formatting, no attention-grabbing tricks, just the truth. That a girl once died because of a screen, but came back to life because of the truth. I had no idea who would read it. But one day, I got a message from a 17-year-old boy. He wrote, "I was planning to end my life yesterday, but I saw the part where you wrote, 'You are still being called.' I cried. I decided to wait just one more day, to see if anything would change. And today is that day." I didn't save anyone. I just shared what I saw. And somehow, the light I thought had gone out in me found its way to a soul fading in silence on the other side of despair. Look Up is no longer a campaign. It's how I live every single day. Every time I feel myself sinking too deep into the digital noise, I remind myself, look up. Every time I start to compare, to scroll aimlessly, to shrink inside when no one seems to notice me, I look up. I look at the sky. I look at the person sitting across from me. I look into my own eyes in the mirror and whisper, I'm still here, and I'm still loved, even when no one is watching. Then one day, someone messaged me and said they had put their phone down for the first time in months just to step outside and look at the real sky. You might think that's a small thing, but to me, that's the most miraculous thing a simple story can do. And the final part of this story, the reason I have to share it, is not to make you admire me. It's to remind you that you can still come back, start over, and live truthfully before it's too late. I know you might be watching this while lying in a dark room, phone in hand, mindlessly scrolling through a flood of chaotic content. Maybe you're not even searching for anything. Maybe you're just trying to escape a quiet emptiness you don't have words for. Maybe you don't believe in dying and coming back. Maybe you don't believe in the afterlife. Maybe you don't believe in God. But do you believe that something inside you has been quietly fading, little by little? A subtle feeling, hard to name, as if the light in you is dimming, even though on the outside you're still smiling, still okay, still showing up on every platform. Social media isn't evil, technology isn't the enemy, but when they become the only place where you feel you have worth, your soul begins to get rewired bit by bit with fear, comparison, and the belief that you're not enough. I once believed I didn't deserve to live if no one remembered me online. I once believed I was invisible if no one liked my posts. But God showed me something I never expected to see. I was still loved, even in total silence. And so are you. You don't have to become someone else. You don't have to pretend to be strong. You don't have to force a smile just to be accepted. You were not born to chase other people's attention. You were born to bring your true light into the world. If today you're still breathing, if your eyes are still able to see, if there's even the smallest part of you longing to live more honestly, start there. Turn off the screen for a few minutes. Look someone in the eye. Listen to your mother's voice all the way through. Pray, even if it's just a single honest sigh. I died once, and I came back not to keep living the same old life, but to tell you this. If you're still here, you are still being called. You can still look up. Look up.